Americans began to flock to Los Angeles. Porters, waiters, cooks, and chambermaids working on the Southern Pacific and Santa Fe Railroad spread the word that here there was little racial hostility, great weather, and a chance to own their own homes.
California, for little or no money, the black Californians or Angelinos were forthright and full. They were just, like the cream of the crop, and any place you wanted to be was right here in California. And so that you had that kind of attraction early in the century, and the numbers began to grow quite rapidly.
In fact, the black population in Los Angeles rose from 100 to more than 1,200 in just 10 years. Despite its size, the growing Southern California community had a distinct identity, which in part was forged by the life of an ex-slave woman, Biddy Mason.
She was very thrifty-minded, saved her money, and invested in property. As a result, she became a very wealthy woman and a very influential African-American in Los Angeles. She was extremely generous and philanthropic, and she played a key role in taking care of the less fortunate in the small Los Angeles community, black or white.
She was a great leader in the 1800s because she had great influence over the people, and she showed people how to make money and save money and take that and do something with it. I think she probably really employed the philosophy of Dr. George Washington Carver. Start where you are with what you have. Make something out of it and never be satisfied. And I think it was truly indeed her philosophy also.
She became an independent landowner, worked in midwifery, founded the local AME church in her home. In that church was born the first black school in Los Angeles. Out of that church came a concept of economic development.
Following the path cleared by Biddy Mason, the Los Angeles black population was an industrious lot. Small businesses thrived, and by the turn of the century, Los Angeles had surpassed San Francisco as the hub of the black community. There was great optimism in the early 1900s, sometimes called the golden era of the African-American community in Los Angeles. However, as the black population continued to increase, overt racial hostility began to erupt.
We had a number of movements among white citizens who were starting campaigns to keep certain areas of the city white, to stop the black tide. And so we're having all of these kinds of reactions to an increasing black population in Los Angeles, starting at the turn of the century.
But the black community swiftly organized and fought back. Local chapters of the NAACP were formed. Black newspapers called for citizens of color to stand up for their rights, and others began to embrace the self-determining philosophy of Marcus Garvey's United Negro Improvement Association.
Marcus Garvey left a legacy that if you commit yourself to a goal and you're dedicated to it, that you can accomplish it. He committed himself to organize black people in the United States and throughout the world for their own best interests. And he was very successful at that. He had organized over 6 million black people in one organization for a common cause, which was the uplift of our race of people. And he used the philosophy of race first, self-reliance, and nationhood.
Colonel Allen Allensworth decided to completely turn his back on the racist attitudes prevailing in Los Angeles. And in 1908, he founded Allensworth, California's first all-black town.
My grandfather was a very enterprising person. He advertised, and he had all the people that had served with him in the Army to draw on, and he encouraged them to come west and to settle there. And he would go from place to place and give talks and tell people to come to Allensworth, and some of them did.
Despite the turmoil, however, in 1918, Frederick Madison Roberts amassed voters of all races and defeated a white candidate to become the first black member of the state assembly. His opponent's only platform, "Vote for me, my opponent is a nigger."
Although he was the lone black voice in the assembly and was a loud voice, and he insisted that he be heard. And one of the most instrumental things that he did while he was in the state assembly was he made it illegal for California schools to include any kind of literature or books that included derogatory racial remarks, rather, against any ethnic group in California.
Despite the weight of California's increasingly restrictive laws and racist atmosphere, blacks in the 1920s and 30s fared much better here than in the rest of the country. So black people kept coming west, some even achieving the American dream.
Los Angeles was the place to go, and so many people migrated here from all over the United States because there were so many promises, so many hopes of a better life for them.
And there was much to be enjoyed about life in the black neighborhoods of Los Angeles. A close-knit community, camaraderie, and the feeling that you'd never have to go it alone were all wonderful aspects of black life in the early and middle 1900s.
Everybody on the street was your mother. Everybody watched you. Everybody knew what you had done. And you had to speak to everybody that you passed. If you failed to speak to the little old lady sitting on their porches, your mother knew about it when you got home. And when you got to your house, your mom said, "Did you have problems this morning?" And you'd say, "No, Mom." Then Miss Sally said you walked right past her and didn't speak. Now march back down there and speak. And you hated to do it. But you had to, and you walked back, and you said, "Miss Sally, I'm sorry, I was rushing this morning. I didn't see you. How are you?" And she said, "I'm fine, baby. Now take the skippy and run along home."
By the 1920s, Central Avenue had become the heart of the black community. On the Avenue, as it was called, you'd find everything you needed, from prescriptions to insurance to intellectual stimulation.
That was Black Los Angeles. And it was a place where you really felt, at home, that you could really sort of be comfortable with and safe. You could walk, the streets at night and know that you weren't going to be molested or bothered at all. And just probably the last such feeling in Los Angeles.
In 1928, the Somerville Hotel was built, later renamed the Dunbar. The greatest black stars of the day stayed there and played there. Central Avenue's nightlife is still legendary. Did it swing? But there was also World War II, and as blacks continued to move west, conditions improved very little. More when City View returned.